Okay, the next unit that we're doing is going to be all about statistics and probability. We're going to start with statistics, and the first thing we want to talk about in statistics is when we do surveys. Okay, a lot of people, if they want to find information about something, they will survey groups of people about it. And there's a lot of good information that you can get when you do a survey, but only if the people that you are surveying make sense for what you want to find out. Okay, so we need a couple of definitions here. So population is the whole group that you want to look at. Okay, so in other words, if I wanted to know about what the seventh graders thought about the school lunches, then my population would be all of the seventh graders in school. Okay. If I wanted to know what everybody, all students in the school, thought about school lunches, then my population is all of the students in the school. Okay. So it just depends on the population, is who you want to get information from. Okay. Now, the important thing when you're setting up a survey like that is, how are you going to pick the people you're going to survey? If we wanted to know what, in general, what everybody thought about the school lunches, it might be a pain to actually survey every single student in the school. So we might only pick certain people to survey, not everybody. Okay. What we want to do when we're doing surveys is we want to do a random sample. Okay. A random sample just means you are somehow randomly choosing the group of people that you're going to survey out of the entire population. Okay. So if I wanted to survey, I wanted information about all the students in the school, then I would have to somehow randomly choose different students from throughout the entire school, all different grade levels. Okay. If I wanted um, information about all of Randolph, then I would have to somehow randomly choose people that lived in Randolph. Okay. A biased sample is a group from the population that does not represent the entire population. So what that means is, if I wanted information about all of the students in the school, but I only asked seventh graders, that's biased because seventh graders does not represent seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. It only represents seventh graders. So if I'm only choosing a specific portion of my entire population, then it's going to be biased. Okay. So we want to avoid biased samples. We want to get what we call representative random samples. Okay. So let's look at a couple examples here. I already kind of talked about this. A group of students want to do a survey to find out what's the most popular school lunch. So an example of a random sample. Well, random sample might be going to each lunch period and ask the first 10 people in line, or the first 20 people in line out of each lunch period. That's going to give me all different grade levels of students, and I really have no idea who's going to show up there first. So it's very random. Anybody could show up first in line. So that makes it random, and I will should get students from all grade levels, which will make it representative. So that would be a good way to do a random sample to do that survey. All right, go to each lunch period and survey the first 10 people in line. A biased sample might be, if I was going to go, if I, again, I want to know about the whole school. So I have seniors first period. If I just asked my first period class, if I surveyed my first period class, that would be biased because I only have seniors in there and I actually only have six of them. So six seniors would not be a good representation of all the students in the school. Okay. So that would definitely be a biased one. All right. Let's just do one more example. A newspaper wants to do a survey of the people in their town to see if they think the roads are well taken care of in winter. So I want you to try to think of an example of a random, someone could get a random sample. All right, so think to yourself now, how could you get a random sample of all the people in the town? Right? Well, one way you could do it would be somewhere in a computer or something somewhere, they're going to have a list of all the people living in town. So you could go to a list of all the people in the town and then randomly choose people off that list. And there's lots of ways you could randomly choose them. You could ask the computer to randomly pick people. You could roll a die and say, it comes up five, we're going to pick every fifth person. If it comes up four, we're going to pick every fourth person and survey them. So there's lots of ways you could do it randomly, but you're going to get a list of all the people in the town and randomly choose people on that list. That would be a good representation of the whole population because you're pulling from everybody that lives in that town. It would obviously not make sense to try to survey every single person that lived in a town. That wouldn't be any good. But if you just take a list of all of them and just pick a handful randomly, it's easy to do and it just still represents everybody. A biased example, see if you can think of a biased example for this. My biased example would be just asking the people that work for the town. Like the plow truck drivers. Probably, if you ask the plow truck drivers if the roads are well taken care of in the winter, they're probably going to say yes since it's their job to do it. So obviously, just asking them would not make much sense. That would be a very biased population. And so we wouldn't get very good information. So surveying, you can get a lot of good information, but if you're going to get good information to use, you need a representative random sample. Representative means that you're drawing from all the people in your population, not just one group of them. Random, you're somehow randomly picking them, whether you pick the first 10 people in line or you have a computer randomly generate the the list of people you want to choose from out of the population or however you're going to do it. It needs to be random. You need to represent everybody. Then you can get good information from those surveys.